Hello, and welcome to the War Room for Courageous Wives. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jessica.
And today is a very, very special day. It's our first show together, and we have someone very special on, right?
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Today is actually our first show that we've done together, which is, really exciting within itself. So it's good that we got our schedules together so we were able to connect. And then we have a guest. She's an amazing woman of God. I'm super excited to speak with her today. She's someone that I've been following faithfully, and I always receive an amazing word whenever I'm listening to her video or if I just read a post, and I'm in her Facebook group too. So I get little nuggets from her all the time, and it's just so amazing, honestly.
Oh, my gosh, yes. I'm so excited. You told me about her, and I'm just excited, to get these powerful nuggets from her. So I've got my water. I've got my notepad, so let's jump right in. All right, so we're going to welcome Ms. Gloria Warren to the show.
Welcome,
Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi. Yeah, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. So, I've been following you for a while, and, we've talked, and I've watched most of all, I think, all of your your videos on Facebook, and they are just so powerful. I always get a good word out of it. But if you can just introduce yourself to our listeners, tell them who you are, where you're residing from, and just more about your ministry, The Eloquent Wife, and then kind of just everything you have going on over there. I know you have a lot. You have one-on-one coaching. You have your free downloadable guide. You have so much stuff. So just let us all know what's going on at The Eloquent Wife.
Okay, so again, thank you, ladies, so much for having me on this podcast. I am just so overwhelmed. But again, my name is Gloria Warren, and I am a wife. I am a mom. I am a minister. I'm a certified Christian relationship coach. I am a recording artist. I wear a lot of hats, but I am also, like you said, the founder of The Eloquent Wife, and I'm just so thankful to God for what He has done, because it has just crossed so many barriers, and it's been in ways that I never expected or that I saw coming. The Eloquent Wife, it was really just birthed in my spirit back in 2018. That was a year where I was just really just going through within myself. And honestly, at that time, I had no clue what the Lord wanted me to do with it. He just gave me this name, and for some reason, I knew that it was unique, but I just had no idea that it would be this ministry that you see today. I just thought that it might be just a blog post, or I didn't know what it was going to be. And so I just believe that every wife can benefit from what God gives me to share through The Eloquent Wife. But specifically, my mission is tailored for the millennial Christian wife, just to help her find the beauty in her marriage again. And that wife may look like a sanctified, Holy Ghost, tongue-talking woman of God, but yet be so bound in her spirit from misunderstandings, or, just from low self-worth, or just even brokenness from whether it's a loss of a child, loss of a parent, or infidelity that she's had to deal with. And so it's just so profound to me how the Lord is just, how He's just leading. And I really can take no credit for what you see there. It's just really God just downloading things into me, because I'm so far from perfect, but I'm just grateful that the Lord would just even use me as a mouthpiece for Him. And I'm just so thankful to know that it's been a blessing to women, and I'm just really, really grateful. But I do have a lot of things going on over there. I don't even know where to start. I don't want to just be, rambling, but I know with the 5 key elements, I know that's what you referred to earlier. It's just this guide that I put together. It's just this 5 keys that God gave to me, like when He really started dealing with me about myself. It's 5 keys to help you have or build a prosperous marriage. And the ladies can go there. It is on my website, www.gloriawarren.com/5 keys. And it's just a free download. And it's where I just kind of share different nuggets and different tips on what God shared with me. And I do one-on-one coaching, whether it is for women who are just really struggling, or they're looking for clarification, what direction they need to go in, or, some wives, they have issues where they can't talk to their husbands. Their husbands don't really hear them, or they don't listen, and just to have that outlet to just be able to get those things that's in their heart out. And I also do premarital coaching for women that are engaged. And I have my sessions on my website, gloriawarren.com. Everything is there. And, that's basically the Eloquent Wife in a nutshell.
That is truly, truly amazing, Gloria. Like, what you're doing with your ministry is just mind-blowing. And the way you speak about it, it just seems like it's a passion. And, like, I can tell that it's, like, really, really coming from your heart. And, oftentimes God takes us on these paths that seems like hard, and we may not understand like the why behind it.
And then I actually had watched one of your videos, and you were talking about losing a child, and I can relate to that because I actually lost, me and my husband lost my stepdaughter earlier this year. Yeah. So, and I get what you mean, like, when you're going through things, you don't understand really like why you're going through them, and then and then this ministry or whatever is birthed out of it, So, I mean, I thank you for being so transparent, in your videos, and like that really helps me connect with you, and I feel like I knew you almost. I'm like, oh my gosh, like she's like another sister, like so that's good. Like I love for sure what you're doing with Eloquent Wife. You do have a lot going on over there, and it's a lot of good resources for people.
Strong ways are always hard and always, like even in bad times, and I try to remember that. So Gloria, what did your wifehood look like, before God took you like on this journey?
My wifehood, it was, if I could just be honest, it looked a mess. And it's like, I just feel like I got married at such a young age. I met my husband when I was 18. I got engaged at 19. I got married at 20. I had my first child at 21. And so I had a lot of these major milestones at such a young age. And at that time, I felt like I was just this big grown woman doing my grown woman thing. But when I look back now, it's like I was still a baby then. And it's like I knew what the wife should look like, but it was very hard for me to actually walk in that role. And I thank God for my mom, because she was a wonderful example for me. I saw the way that she, respected my father. I saw the way that she, she was very, very intentional about not saying certain things, in front of us, me and my brothers. She was just a wonderful role model for me. But once I got married, it's like I knew the things that I should do, but it was hard for me to actually walk in that. And so I had to grow up a lot. I mean, there are a lot of things that I said, that I did, that was, contrary to the way that I should have been as a Christian wife. But, it's easier said than done. You can know the right things to do, but unless you have like that mindset change to say, okay, like this is how I should be walking, not just, you know, I don't know. I mean, it was a mess. It was a mess. But I thank God for His grace and for His mercy and for like actually showing me, like, you need to get yourself together because this is not going to work. It's not going to fly. If you really want to, you know, have longevity and not just be married for 20, 30 years and say it, but actually be happy and, you know, thrive. And,
right. Yeah, that's important. Yeah, I think that you made a good point. You also brought up something that actually I had talked about with my own mom because my father passed away. Our dad passed away in 2014, but she was like, I was telling her, I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like I never saw them. Actually, you probably can attest to this. I never really saw them argue, and like really in my eyes, I thought they had like the perfect marriage. I was like, oh, you never argue? Like how do you do it? Like how do you just like not argue? Because I know, Gloria, you probably heard couples say like, oh, we never fight, we never argue, you know, and I'm just like, I don't even know how true that is. And so I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, no, we argued all the time. Like we had disagreements, but we just made sure not to do it in front of y'all, you know. And I was like, that's a lesson that I need definitely I need to learn. So, like, you know, I know that all couples, we all go through, you know, hard times, ups and downs, you know, disagreements and stuff. And then, like, you said something about making a mindset change. Like, you know, what was the point where you knew that you needed to make, like, your mindset? I know you said that, like, it was a mess. And because I know sometimes, like, we're quick to, like, point at other people and be like, you know, well, my husband, he needs to change. Or, like, it's, you know, my mother-in-law or just whoever. It's like, you know, it's always somebody else. But how did you know that it was you that needed to make the change? Because I think that's important for wives to get, you know, that it starts with us sometimes, you know?
Right. I knew that I needed to make a change within myself. I always, you know, go back to like around 2017, 2018. Like once God really started dealing with me about marriage, I just, it's like I was just in this dark place, and I knew that, and just a side note, like that's why I believe it's very important to know that God has placed you with the person, or that God has ordained you, you know, to be with your husband, because when you go through those difficult seasons, you know, it might not be easy, but you'll, I think, press through like those trying times when you know that, okay, I know that this is the man that God has for me, and so God, help me to get through this. But I was just in a dark place, and I was just dealing with so many different things, and I don't even know, you know, to this day what it was that I was dealing with, but I just felt like I just wanted to give up. I just did not have, I just had like this void in my heart, and I don't know why I was feeling the way that I did. I felt like I wanted to run away. I felt like I just wanted to get away from everything. And since I've been married, for the most part, I've been a stay-at-home wife and mom, and so just being at the house all the time, you know, not having a lot of outlets and not having a lot of things that I could actually do that makes you feel like, I guess, a woman, or, you know, interaction with people. And so I was just really struggling, and I can just remember being like, God, you're going to have to help me with this, because I cannot do this. I cannot do this anymore. If you don't get me through this, I don't believe that I'm going to be able to do this. And it was in that moment where God really started to reveal himself to me, or he started to really just like take me to different scriptures in the Bible to just give me comfort in my spirit to know that, like, it does not have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. There is, you know, you can have a prosperous marriage. You can, you know, have you can have joy. You can have peace. You don't have to wake up and dread the day. You don't have to do this. And at the same time, I had a lot of back-to-back pregnancies, and so it was probably some, postpartum depression and stuff going on. But it was just in that dark place where I knew, God, there has to be a change, and God just really just stepped in and just started to deal with my heart. I had to stop focusing on my husband. I had to stop looking at everything that I thought that he was doing wrong to make me, to try to, I don't know, I felt like, you need to make me happy. You need to do this. Do you see, what this is doing to me, or whatever, however it was.
Right.
And I had to stop focusing on him and start looking at myself. And I think it's very important for us to also, adapt or adopt this mindset of servanthood. A lot of times we point our fingers and we say, well, you're not doing this and you're not doing this. Why should I do better if you're not doing better? But when we really know how Jesus was, he was a servant at heart, and we are no higher than our master. And because he was a servant, we have to serve. And if I am spending majority of my time trying to figure out, how can I serve you better? How can I do this better? Are you okay? I think that's why nurses are so important. They're so, so meaningful, is because they're always trying to serve. They're always trying to see how they can help the person that is sick or the person that is in need. And I don't even know how I got on that, but yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. What really resonated to me is about the servanthood, because I always say, like, we are like a forever student of our spouse. Like, what I know about my husband now in my 30s, I'm going to have to relearn again in my 40s. You know what I mean? So it's always just like I'm a constant student. So, wow. So, like, that, I'm kind of at that point where you are now, trying to find my way.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to me that you, like, really laid down your life for Christ, dying to self, and kind of like just doing things God way. And that's also what I'm trying to learn right now. And also, when we do that, two things happen. One, our life turns out for the better, which I can see which with you. And then also the second thing is, I feel like God gets the glory out of it. But that's really, really not easy. But I commend you, and I look forward to, like, continue watching your videos as well. So.
Yeah, you made a good point, Ashley. Because when you were talking, Gloria, that's what came to mind to me too. Like, really, just like, like she said, dying to self, like the death of yourself, of your flesh, and just like displaying of love that's willing to, like, lay down your life and make sometimes painful sacrifices, for your family and for your marriage and your husband. And I know you were saying, like, not focusing so much on, like, what your husband is and isn't doing. I think that. Like you said earlier, like, all of this stuff is like, we know to do this stuff, but it's kind of hard. You know what I mean? And it's like really just getting down and, like, applying that type of stuff. Or just kind of applying it daily, like being intentional daily. Like, what does, like, dying to yourself look like for you as a wife, like, daily? And what are some tips that you can give, like, otherwise, or our listeners, to, like, do that, or kind of help us? I'm even speaking for myself, to, like, be intentional and to, like, remember to do that. Like, it's not all about what he isn't doing. Let's think about, making sure God is going to be glorified in my role as a wife.
Right. What does it look like for me dying to myself? Every day when I wake up, I try to be intentional about I say, like, simple prayers, and I try to do affirmations. But one of the things that I always do is always pray, God, bridle my tongue, set a watchman at my mouth. Help me to just control this flesh, because it is so easy to, to just want to go back and forth. It's so easy to want to do those things. And I'm like, I think it's all about intentionality. You just have to want to
Yeah.
be better. You have to want to be the wife that God has called you to be, because I mean, like, you want to go back and forth. I mean, when they have a decision, you want to counteract that. I mean, when they,
Right.
want to go to a certain place, you want to do that, and it just comes so natural. And that's where you just have to work at getting I have to work at getting my flesh in line. And I'm not perfect, and I don't do everything perfect, but daily I'm striving. And when I see myself slipping, I'm like, God, help me in this area. And it's real,
Mhm.
but the tips that I would give is to just have like this continual, prayer life of God, like, guide my footsteps, help me to say the right things. Give me wisdom on when I should speak, when I should be quiet, and at the same time, help me to be okay with not always having to have something to say, not always having to have the last word, not always having to make the decisions. And when I had my baby girl, I remember when she was here, she was helping me, to recover. And I can remember when she was here, and she was just, helping with cleaning up and washing dishes and stuff. And I remember, I don't know, me and my husband, we were talking about something, and he left to go do something. And I remember she just, sat down, and she asked me a question. It was like, why do you always do that? And I had never realized that it was something that I did. But she was like, every time he says something, you always have to come back. You always have to, like, challenge what it is that he's saying. Like, you don't have to always do that. And it made me think about it, because I didn't realize that was something I was doing. And not always, I guess, challenging his role that God has called him to be in. He called him to be the priest of the home. Even if he gets some decisions wrong, even though you're like, but if I don't say something, you're not going to be, like, out on the street homeless. Like, he can lead you. And in our minds, it's like, well, if I don't do this, it's not going to be done right. But allowing him to walk in his God-given role, that God has placed him in. And even if he gets it wrong, he has to stand before God, and we're going to be held accountable for our actions, not their actions. But just being intentional about, God, just help me to get this flesh under control.
I completely agree with that, because our thoughts and, like, our, like, inner attitudes have the power to shape and, change us. So, like, these attitudes that, the attitudes that we have can create, like, strongholds in our life, or have them down for good, right?
Like, I hate to keep going back to that, but, like, that to me also still sounds like, like, dying to self, and, like, sort of, like, laying down your life for Christ, so that you're, like, because you're dealing with, like, self-control in a sense, and not allowing your flesh to control, like, your thoughts and your actions. Like, because that flesh, like, I felt you there. Like, it be strong sometimes. So, yeah, you definitely have to, like, control it. Like, one thing that I've been doing is, like, I even told my sister this, like, whenever I'm about to have a conversation, like, with my husband, and I kind of know that we may not agree, I try to set my mind, like, okay, what I want to get out of this. Like, I don't want to argue with him. I don't want, to go down that rabbit hole. Like, I want to walk away from this conversation in peace with him, and, like, like, on common ground. So I try to, like, make sure that's my mindset. Like, okay, Jessica, we want peace. Like, I'm not going to be trying to, like, nitpick him. Like, I want peace. Like, so that kind of helps me kind of, like, put myself in check before I even go to him, or even he's coming to me about something, so that, like, I don't start to, I kind of get myself, under control, because, the Word of God says that he didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of self-control and love and power. So I try really hard to, like, operate, from that. Because, like you said, just let the man go ahead and do, we're not going to be on the street. That was funny when you said that, because I felt that too. I was like, yeah.
We are just getting started, but before we go any farther, I want to encourage you to, after the show, visit gloriawarren.com. There you will find more information about today's guest, and guess what? That beautiful, soulful voice that you heard on the intro of today's show, yep, that's indeed Miss Gloria Warren herself. So go check out more of her music and other resources on her website, including details about her upcoming classes. She does virtual classes and also one-on-one wife coaching. So you can find all that information on her website. Not to mention, she also has a pretty great online store as well on her website. She offers a great selection of prayer journals, devotional resources, also like t-shirts and jewelry. My favorite item on her store is there's a t-shirt that has my favorite saying, which is crushing the devil's head. So she has that, and it's super cute, you guys. So hurry on over and go check out her website.
In season 2 of The Eloquent Wife, you were focusing a lot, or you're starting to focus, because you're in season 2 now, and you're starting to deal with like self, like it's about dealing with self. And you also mentioned that a little bit in season 1. One thing, I'm probably not going to quote it right, but I have it written down here. You said something about, the first step, begins with us, and then sort of like doing good in spite of. I don't think you've already answered this, but can you give us a little bit of tips on how to make that part easier? Because I know that can be challenging for wives too. Like when we're doing our part, and and like you said, we're doing good in spite of what he could be doing. Like even if he's giving an attitude, or he's not checking his flesh, but we are. Like what keeps you what are some tips to make that process easier? To just focus on what you're doing.
Okay. Well, I'll just say it like this. The Bible says that a wise woman builds her house, and a foolish woman tears it down. And then it also says that a wife who has a quiet and a gentle spirit can win her husband over with just her loving actions. And so understanding the bigger picture that you are called to serve, I think will help to put so many things that we struggle with into perspective. Not saying that it's easy, but when you can cause your mind to shift and refocus, your actions, I believe your actions will soon follow. And, it starts in the mind. When a person, thinks about a certain thing for long enough, a lot of times you'll see they'll act out on it. But I just believe some tips that I would say to make concerning doing good in spite of your husband's actions is knowing that one day you're going to stand before God, and God is not going to ask you, what does your husband do? Okay, because he did that, then, okay, I'll give you a pass on that. But we're going to be judged based on our actions, and even though they may not do things the way that they should be doing it, I believe that prayer is very, very powerful. And if we see something that we don't like, we don't always have to nag about it. We don't always have to continue to bring it up, because that's not going to get us anywhere. But just focusing in, God, this is, have your list. God, this is things that I'm struggling with. These are some things that I'm dealing with that he is, really getting under my skin about. And God, I really need you to just give me wisdom on each of these areas. And also knowing that when you go to God, he is going to make our path straight. And if we really have we have this connection with him, I believe that he is going to always lead us into complete knowledge and understanding. And if you can't remember anything else, always remember that you can always change you. You'll never be able to change a spouse, but you can always work on yourself. And so even if he's doing things that is just completely off the wall, you can always present yourself in a godlike manner. So what does that look like? Okay, you're having an argument. You're like, okay, I'm just going to go the high road. He's still arguing. Okay, I hear you. And God, he will have to really just give you a sense of peace, and he have to really give you, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he'll really have to just help us to mature in these areas, because, again, it's not easy. I mean, just like you said earlier, I have to talk to myself sometimes, like, go, okay, Gloria, like, you're going to be, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're not going to do. And I have to talk to myself, too, out loud sometimes. Sometimes I'm talking to myself. But I believe that if we just focus on the woman that God wants us to be, if we just focus on, like I said earlier, servanthood, if we focus on our character and being all that God desires for us to be, then it will spill over into all the other areas, whether they are doing what they should do or not. Remembering that we have a voice, remembering that our prayers have weight to them, remembering that because we are one, we are closer to them than anyone else, and because we're closer to them, I believe that our prayers hit heaven differently. And whether you are seeing him manifest your prayers or whether you're not, believing and knowing that, okay, God, if I continue to keep petitioning you, I know that I'm your daughter. I know that I belong to you. I know that you hear me when I pray, and I'm going to continue to keep praying. And then also knowing that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, and I know this is something I always say, but realizing that the only person who desires to steal, kill, and destroy is the enemy. And sometimes we forget that we are not wrestling with the flesh, because God is not the author of confusion nor of discord. And so when we start seeing these different things manifest and we can't understand, why don't we have peace in our marriage? Maybe we need to go to the source and say, okay, this is not God. This is the enemy who is trying to attack my marriage. And even if your husband doesn't see it, or even if you didn't see it, but you now see it, praying that God will give him revelation, give him wisdom. And I know some women may be married to men who are not, really focused on things of God. But to be a praying woman, to be a praying wife, it holds so much weight. It holds so much weight.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I'm taking notes, girl. That is so good. Those are really, really good points. And another thing that actually popped into my mind as you were speaking was forgiveness. So, and I know, like, I have this issue. I mean, I can forgive, but what I've learned is that we have to learn how to forgive quickly, especially, like, like the daily things that can happen and can build up into bigger ones, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just hold and hold. I know I'm guilty. I'm raising my hand. So, like he had an attitude for whatever reason when he asked me this, or he keeps forgetting to do that, and
or like if he forgets to acknowledge this. Yeah, I'm raising my hand too.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Like those little things like that, like, can build up. And I know sometimes I hold things in because I try, try to pick my battles. That's what I keep saying to myself, but really I'm just holding on. So can you just share, I know you touched on it a little bit, but can you just please elaborate, Gloria, like, what has helped you to just forgive quickly, like, with those daily things, so you can just be the change that you want to see?
What has helped me to forgive quickly? In this season, I'm really trying to learn to protect my peace and to protect my joy, because it, especially with COVID and everything that's going on, it's just a lot that's just going on, and I'm like, God, just help me I just want to be at peace. I don't want to be stressed out. I don't want to be, because it just makes you feel like something is off when you and your husband are not right. And it's like,
Right.
You know I said I'm fine. I know you said you fine, but we're not fine because it feels like it's just so cold in this room.
Yeah.
But that's what helps me to forgive easily is that, first of all, I mean, I know this might be funny, but like I always be like, when he'll do something and I want to hold on to it with everything that's going on, like, okay, Jesus could come back at this moment. Do I really? Do I really want to take a chance to miss the rapture because, like, he left his socks on the floor? And so I'm like, okay, God, help me to just forgive and let this go. And it's so funny, but that's one reason that I try to just forgive quickly, because you never know the day nor the hour. But another reason is I just want peace. And I learned that when I would hold on to things, it would just make my heart get harder and harder. And that's why I talk about, like, speaking your truth in love, because I'm the type of person where I never liked conflict. I never liked like controversy. I didn't like that. And so, like, even as a little girl, I would just, not say anything. I would just always hold everything in. I would be afraid of confrontation. But, it wasn't healthy for me, because just from the time we got married, and just years went by in our marriage, I mean, I would just hold on to a lot of different things. Not saying that it was just like real big things, but when you continue to hold on to the small things, they continue to build up, and the socks or the trash will turn into this big explosion, because you have, years upon years of little things that are just turning from like this little anthill to this big mountain. And you're like, where is all of this coming from? Where is all of this rage and all of this strife coming from in my voice? Why am I so upset at you? And it's because you allow those little things to just continue to pile up in your heart. And I get, wanting to, pick the battles. But I believe at the same time, if something bothers you, I don't know, you can just let the Lord lead you. Because sometimes, I'll want to say something, even now, and it's like, God's like, not right now. You can bring it up later, but not right now. And just his leading, just his guiding, you never know what they may be thinking about, what they may have dealt with at their job that could lead to this big explosion, this big argument. And it's like, I just want to get this off my chest. And now you can't understand why like, y'all don't even want to talk to each other. And so it's something that the enemy can use to his advantage.
Right.
And just learning to forgive quickly. And whatever I say, whatever we deal with, if it's hard, we can just always pray about it and say, God, change this about me. It doesn't have to be hard. I mean, it's not easy, but we are a work in progress. Everybody, we all have our different struggles. We all have our different things that we deal with. And, if you struggle with something just with eating, or, with talking too much, or telling too much of your business to family members, and then they're getting into your family affairs, just, God, help me not to talk so much. I mean, just these little bitty simple prayers that we might think, oh, this is just childish, but, it's God uses the foolish things to confound the wise. And so whatever we do, God, if it's hindering our growth, if it's hindering us from being prosperous, Lord, help me with this. Lord, help me with that. Help me to forgive quickly. That's something I had to pray. It feels good because it makes you feel like you're in control, you're in charge, but it's actually hurting you. It's like they're over there, they're smiling, you still sitting over here. You got rocks in your jaws. They living their life up to the fullest, and you just stressed out from the world because you got all this stuff in your heart. And it's like, God, I just release all this stuff to you. Help me to let this go completely, not just me saying it with my lips, but actually getting it out of my heart. And I mean, it's not easy, But every day we can just work towards it and release it to him. God, I place all of this stuff at your feet. I don't want this anymore. I don't want this in my heart anymore. God, purge me of this stuff. That's something that I love to say. Purge me with hyssop, that I might be clean, and wash me, that I might be white as snow. That's something that I pray every day, because I want to protect my peace. I'm just like, God, I just want you, and what flows out of our relationship with God is going to flow over into our marriage and into our lives, the lives of our children, into the ministry, into the business. And so just getting that foundation, really, because you can't be a prosperous wife if your relationship with God is not intact. Because marriage came from him. And so it's just, it's all of these little bitty pieces that we just have to just put together, the puzzle, and God will help us do it. We're just a work in progress every day, just striving to get better.
Yeah, you said some really good stuff in there. I was taking some notes too. But I do want to remind or let the listeners know that you actually have a video series on forgiveness too. Speaking of forgiveness, so you guys can check that out on the Elegant Wife Facebook page, and all that stuff will be linked in the podcast description, and then wherever we post it, you'll see her links as well. So. Make sure you guys go check that out. I think it was a 3-part series, right, Gloria, on forgiveness, and it was really, really powerful. And just going with that, I feel that forgiveness and, like you said, protecting your peace, I feel like all of that kind of comes with having a gentle and quiet spirit. And like you said, God created marriage, and he has specific roles for wives and for husbands. But the one thing that he does say for wives is that he wants us to have a gentle and quiet spirit. And I feel like being able to forgive, and not always so confrontational, not always nagging about something, not always complaining, and
picking your battles.
Yeah, picking your battles.
Yeah.
I think that, all that comes with being able to forgive quickly, and like you said, protecting your peace. But I'm gonna be transparent here. Where do you draw the line with displaying this gentle and quiet spirit, but not being a doormat? Because honestly speaking, I've seen a hardness in myself that I carry, especially being in corporate America. I work in the legal field, so I kind of have to have a hard shell, and then I forget I can't bring that hardness home to my husband. I can't be that same Jessica that I am at work with, my husband. But a part of me is kind of afraid that if I'm too soft, I may get walked over or taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely get it, not being a doormat. And, I don't believe that God wants us to just, lay down and play dumb and, act like we don't have any sense. But I believe that God created us and wired us to, really be we are smart. We are very, very, what's the word? We can think quick on our feet. That's why we are their helpmeets. And I believe that God really, really, when he created us well. We can help keep their lives together. A lot of times they say men are one track, and we can do 20 things at one time. And so God didn't create us to be a doormat. He created us to be smart. He created us to be very, very straightforward, having to go in and change my mindset. Okay, this is your husband. This is the priest of your home. This is the man that God has for you, and we don't come with the complete package. And, they don't come with the complete package. And if truth be told, there are some things that they may do that may make us feel do you really cherish me? Do you really love me? But at the same time, praying that God would reveal to them how to actually be the husband that they should be, so that we can feel safe to actually, walk with that quiet and gentle spirit. Because if you don't feel safe in that place, then it's going to make you have your guard up. It's going to make you feel okay, I got to make sure I stay in control, because I don't want him to think that I'm weak. I don't want him to think that he's just going to run over me. And, sometimes the husbands, they have to learn how to treat us. They have to learn how to love us because sometimes they don't do it well. And just like how when I got married, I wasn't a wife well. And they have to learn too. But that's why, it's important for us to pray together and, and pray separately and, really go before God and say, God, help me to have this gentle spirit, God, but I feel like I need to keep my guard up. I don't feel like I can trust him. I don't feel like I can be, this submissive wife that you desire for me to be. I don't feel like I can be that because I feel like, if I do this, it's going to break me. And I think, we have to really be delivered from that. Not saying that, there is something that is within us that is demonic, but like getting our mindset to a place where we can really receive what God has for us. We can receive that love that God has for us. We can, be comfortable. And if I'm not, if he's driving, I don't have to drive too. Like, I don't have to be looking across all the streets because, if I'm not looking, we might get in a car wreck. Like, learning to trust him with, learning to trust our husbands with our lives. But it takes work. It takes God working on us. It takes God giving us that peace within ourselves to know that I've got you. And because I've got you and because, I love you, I'm going to drop little nuggets here and there to your husband. I'm going to teach him how to love you. And it's not overnight. Sometimes you're like, God, but I thought you said. But just like how, my transformation was not overnight. It was like 6 years into our marriage until, I really had a light bulb moment. And so the way that God graces us, we have to learn how to grace our spouses as well.
Today's podcast features Gloria Warren, the founder of The Eloquent Wife. I want to encourage you all to go to facebook.com right now and search The Eloquent Wife. Like the page and then dive into all the powerful content that's provided there. Gloria's mission is to serve Christian millennial wives and to help us break free from just existing in our marriages, but truly learn how to speak the truth in love and build a prosperous marriage. Personally, I've been so very blessed by the content that she provides there from her videos and also just her daily post. She's now she's currently in season 2 of the Eloquent Wife videos, and they are it's such a good word every time I click on one of the videos. So I encourage you to go over to facebook.com and search The Eloquent Wife so that you can be blessed too.
Wow, that's amazing. I love what you said. Neither of us, come with this complete package. And then, you said, having this quiet and just a spirit will pay off in the end. I could not agree more, because Jesus requires a submission from our hearts as well. So, when you submit your life to Christ, you're saying, listen, I may not understand, Lord, but I trust you. So, like we've been saying, or I know I've been saying this pretty much the whole podcast, is laying down your life for Christ. That way that even when others try to take advantage of you, even when you feel like that your husband may be trying to take advantage of you, God has your back. You know what I mean? And I feel often having this gentle spirit is more about how you say things as well. So that, leads me to my next question, Gloria, because I know sometimes I have this issue too. What steps do you take to be mindful of, suggesting things to your husband instead of demanding?
The steps that I would say is it's a strategy to it, but just praying and asking God to give you wisdom. Okay, God, how do I present this? Allowing God to reveal to you the best time to present it. What you say may not be offensive. What you say may not be it may not be something that should get them upset. But if it's said at the wrong time, or if it's said, God knows all of these things. And when we walk in Him, and when we allow Him to lead us, He knows them better than we know them. He knows us better than we know ourselves. And I believe God is because everybody's situation is different, everybody's marriage is different, and so God will know how to really just hone in and give you wisdom. Okay, this is the way that you should do it for your husband, and vice versa. And because I know that I thought that I was, coming submissive. I thought that I was, I had this sweet face. I had, just this smile on my face, and I'm thinking I'm about to present this, and it turned and backfired on me. And I just learned from that moment, God, like you show me how to do this. Like you show me when I need to speak and when I don't need to speak, because clearly, when I do things in my own strength, it still doesn't work. And but that's what I would say about like suggesting things. Just I don't know. To me, the difference in suggesting and demanding is you need to go take the trash out versus, I really love it when you take the trash out, because it just, it frees the kitchen from, all the clutter and all of this, and when you say it in a way where they can receive it, and then they may start doing it more often, because I believe that men, they enjoy being praised versus, talked to or talked at. And, a lot of the things that I talk about, I talk from a place of, experience, because I walk through a lot of the stuff that I talk about. And so that's something that I had to learn, about, like, even the trash, for example. I didn't like taking out the trash. I didn't like dealing with the trash. And so I'm like, when you going to get this trash? Why this trash been sitting here for like 2 days? When you going to get the trash? Versus, I really love when you take the trash out. I really love, and I had to just one day just be vocal about it and say, I really just don't enjoy doing the trash. I don't like doing it. I know you don't like doing the dishes. This is something that I'm willing to do, or, if we can do just a trade-off, just having like a conversation. It doesn't have to be like that. I'm just giving an example, but, he hates doing the dishes. And I'm like, okay, how about I do the dishes, and how about you do the trash, because I just hate dealing with the trash. I love when you do it. And, from that conversation, I haven't had to deal with the trash anymore. And it may sound simple. It may sound like, girl, stop. But, just like those little sweet suggestions, and then God will give you wisdom, like different things that you're dealing with, like what to say, how to say it, like, not demanding, not throwing it out there, and just like, you need to, or you better, like, could you please, or would you please, I love it when you do this, I love it when you do that, starting with something like that.
Yeah, I think those are good suggestions. I try to think about that too. So I'm glad that you said like asking God like how and when, because that's something that I'm really trying to exercise lately, is like asking God like how I should, like, give me the words, God, give me the tone and the timing, because like you said, like God does know our husbands better than they know themselves, and definitely better than we know them. And so that definitely stuck out to me. But yeah, that was some really good stuff. So as we're coming to a close, you guys can get more of Gloria Warren on her Facebook page, and also GloriaWarren.com, her website. Download her free guide, the 5 Key Elements. Me and my sister both downloaded it, and it's really, really good. So you guys go and get that for sure. But as we come to the close, Gloria, you made a powerful statement earlier in our conversation, also in one of your videos, and I'm going to try to quote it. I'm paraphrasing here. You said that God knew that you needed your husband, and there was like something about him that God knew you needed. And you said something kind of like that earlier in the conversation about like how, kind of a reason why you kind of stick it through, because, God destined for you guys to be together. So as we close out, can you kind of elaborate on your thoughts there in that statement? Because I think that's a really powerful one, because although even for the wives who feel like maybe, I don't know, Gloria, if you prayed to God to send you your husband or how you guys got together, but maybe if, a wife out there didn't like pray about it first, or they didn't seek a guidance from God before they got into their marriage, or, people get into relationships in different ways or whatever.
Right.
But if God allowed it and he, put the couple together, he's in the middle of that. Once you get married and you make that covenant with God, that's what I believe. Like, God is going to be in the middle of it, and he wants to see you guys be successful. And the reason why he allowed you guys to get married is for a reason. So if you can elaborate a little bit more too, like on what your thoughts are there, I just think that is so powerful, and that's kind of a good last note to leave our listeners on.
I just believe that everything about my husband, God knew that I needed him. I mean, because a lot of the things that I dealt with, like whether, people may believe it or not, like I was just very, very reserved. I was very, very shy. I didn't like attention. I didn't like, being in front of cameras. I didn't like a lot of those things. And when God placed us together, it wasn't overnight, but just his encouraging words, just him pushing me, just, the things that he would say and how he would pray for me and just different things like that, just his patience, and I just believe that there was purpose in that. And I know, I probably wouldn't have had that story if I would have been with somebody else. There are some men, who may, say different things to their wives, or, make different comments, like you need to get yourself together. But just the person that he is, the person, I would not be the person that I am today if I had not married him. And I just believe that there's so much purpose there. And it's vice versa. And I believe God places us together because we complement each other. Like, he's very outspoken. He doesn't meet a stranger. Like me, I'm reserved. I don't do that. But at the same time, God knows what we need, because when I was growing up, I said that I would be married to somebody completely opposite. Like, my husband, like, is completely the opposite of what my list was. And so I remember when he came into my life and I had to make that decision. I'm like, okay, well, this is not, this is not the description, or this. He doesn't have this, checklist that I thought that I wanted. But I'm like, God, this is a good man. And, he was godly, he was God-fearing, he was, he loved God. And I'm like, do I allow him to, or do I shut him down to wait on my list, or do I accept the fact that, or do I recognize that you sent this person into my life who has all of the attributes of a godly man, of somebody who could actually lead me, lead our family and our household, be a household of faith? Do I allow that to get away because I want what I want, or do I submit to your will and say, okay, God, I see what you're doing, and, God, I see what you're doing, and it's marvelous in my eyes, and I want to be in your will for me. And our relationship is just, everything was just falling into place. And like I said earlier, I was in Mississippi, he was in Ohio, and so that's another decision that I had to make. I'm like, God, do I leave all of my family to be with this man, and like when I say everything fell in place, like everything fell in place. Like there was no denying that God's hands was in it. And I had a decision where I'm like, hey, do I walk away from like everything that I prayed for? Because he was everything that I prayed for. Do I walk away from this just because of a few checklists, like few things on my checklist that wasn't there? Or do I submit? And I say, God, I know that this is the man that you have for me, and I know that it's going to be good for me, and I know that it's going to be amazing.
Wow, that is so good. That actually
good,
kind of reminds me of kind of like my story. My husband and I are completely opposite.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, completely opposite as well. So he knew exactly what I needed in my life, and my husband is exactly like your husband, just meets no stranger, very outgoing, very extrovert. I'm very introvert, reserved. Everybody I meet is a stranger.
Right.
Until I get to know them. So, like you said, you make a really good point. Do you really dismiss a person because they're different, or do you just really just kind of like be in tune with God and just really trust Him? And that's like what I did as well. So that really like resonated with me. So that was so good. Thank you so much.
Could I jump in there?
For sharing your story. And as we come to a close, we truly enjoyed you, Gloria. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your nuggets. I took a ton of notes.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And so just one more time, if you would just let everyone know where they can find you and connect with you.
Okay. They can find me on Facebook at The Eloquent Wife. They can find me on my website, GloryWarren.com. They can find me on Instagram, Mrs. Glory Warren. And I have a YouTube channel as well, The Eloquent Wife, there. But, yeah, that's where they can find me.
Perfect. Well, you guys, you've heard it. You have all these means to connect with Gloria. So thanks again for listening. Until next time, be blessed, everyone.
No. I love you. I pray for you. Yeah. I go to the throne of grace for you. I love you. I honor you, baby. Yeah. I'll fight to the end for you.